Good morning. I am thrilled to be here. It's actually my first SMSNA. What an amazing session. I want to thank you guys for inviting me, especially Helen Burney out there. I see you waving. A thoughtful and diverse session to start off with. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about mindfulness. And this starts with a disclosure. I started a podcast a few years ago. I make zero money on that, but I think that's why I'm here today. And this started out of a personal quest. Like many of you, I was a busy surgeon. I do urologic oncology. I was busy academically, husband, dad, and I just felt wiped physically, emotionally, psychologically. So I was looking for a way to get better. And it landed in mindfulness. And I'll kind of walk you through in the next 9 or so minutes on where that's brought me to today in a quick fast forward. So it's kind of landed me on a feeling about long, sustainable careers. And as surgeons, we are elite performers. There's a real clear definition of what it means to be an elite performer. We are not professional athletes. We certainly have a very physical component to our life, but we also have a very strong psychological and cognitive component, more similar to musicians, chefs. And so lots of us, if I asked you to raise your hands, on a weekly basis, you're in the gym, you work on your physical health. How many of you actually devote time every day or every week to get better cognitively or psychologically or emotionally? And not a lot of us do. And I'm going to make the plug in the next few minutes that mindfulness is a way to condition ourselves mentally. It's how we can enhance our performance. I'm not going to teach you mindfulness techniques today. That's not why I'm here. I don't have enough time. But mindfulness can be a formal practice or it can be an informal practice. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's a classic saying in the Zen philosophy that spiritual practice either involves sitting or sweeping. And you can sit and you can have a formal practice. I do 10 to 12 minutes a day sitting cross-legged in mindfulness, but there's lots of other activities that we can strengthen ourselves by being mindful. Exercise, hiking, reading, cooking, martial arts, dancing or yoga, prayer, music, art. All of these things can be incredibly mindful, and one of the most important ones, I think, for all of us is surgery. That's why we love what we do, right? Not every operation, not every case, one patient, one problem, nothing else going on in the world. How good does that feel? That's a really mindful experience. So the definition of mindfulness is about awareness. It's about paying attention in a sustained and particular way, and there are 3 key components. Intention, you have to do this purposefully. Presence, being in the moment, and being non-judgmental. If you don't like the mindfulness constructs, this exists in psychology as well. Attentional focus, emotional recognition, and cognitive reappraisal. And since this is a short talk today, I'm really going to focus on 2 big lessons in the beginning of this pathway, in intention, how we can use intention to be better surgeons and better people. So let's start with the power of intention. So I always like to start here. Joseph Campbell was kind of the godfather of human mythology, and he said all human myths can be broken down into 3 general categories. There's the classic Celtic myth, the heroes walking through the woods, a magical beast or a fairy or a nymph pulls them on this journey and they become a hero. There's the wartime hero. The circumstances around you are awful and a hero emerges. And some of you, if anybody's still in training or in the beginning of their career, you could feel like that sometimes, but that's also not the hero you want to be. There's the classic Greek or Roman myth, where the hero sets out on a quest. They define a path, whether it's revenge, a golden fleece, whatever it may be, they're out and they have a quest. And I would argue to you, this is the hero you want to be. This is how you want to set your life up. So what do I mean by that? Well, we can be intentional about our professional skills. We see this in training, how you hold the needle driver, what sutures you use, how you put things together. But you can also use intention in our professional development, what we've come to call the space between technique, how you handle yourself in and out of the operating room, how you manage your patients, how you manage your life. So here are some examples. For those in academics who are training and teaching, what do you want to learn today as a trainee, or what do you want to teach today? And now as part of our timeout, we give everybody in the room the opportunity every morning to say, I want to work on this. I want to get better at the renal hilum. I want to work on the anastomosis and a radical prostatectomy. I'm feeling weak in this area. So everybody knows what you're trying to do and can help you get better. This can help you in your surgeries. So I use prostatectomy as an example. There are prostatectomies where your goal is cancer cure, and there are prostatectomies where you're much more focused on urinary continence and sexual functions, right? So what outcome are you trying to optimize in this operation for this patient? We can think about intentions when we plan our careers. Where do you want to be next year, in 3 years, in 10 years? A lot of us, we talked about physical health and diet. Why are you doing that? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to feel better? What is the intention of the process you're doing so you're not just going through the motions of a healthy diet. And also we can use this in our relationships, whether they're romantic, whether they're friendships, whether they're work relationships. You can be intentional about what you want in that relationship. And setting out those goals can really help you and the other people. The second thing I'd really like to touch on is purpose. Slightly different than intention. Purpose is who we are and what we're seeking. And this is attributed to Eastern philosophies, but this is ancient human philosophy. It comes in every branch of philosophy that we've studied. And actually, it's incredibly American, and I love to point this one out. Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration of Independence wrote, "Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." We equate now happiness with a Lamborghini and a large house. It's not what he meant. He was writing in the age of the Scottish Enlightenment, and what happiness meant then was had to do more with happenstance or happenings. The root of the word had to do with the timing and with our own abilities, and he was actually talking about the pursuit of fulfillment, that we should each have life, liberty, and the ability to pursue what fulfills us as Americans. And we've all seen this, incredible problems in the hospital where people really get confused about who they are and who they want to be. It's called cognitive dissonance. We've all seen this, especially in our field in urologic oncology. You see people who want to be big whack surgeons. That's not really who they are. You see people all the time, they don't want to spend all day in clinic, but their health system wants them to spend all day in clinic. It creates tremendous amounts of cognitive dissonance. So as we work to define our purpose, we want to align our being and our doing, who we are and what we're doing on a regular basis. And the more we can align these things, the more discretional energy it creates for us, the more freedom from psychological stress. And this is a really important number. If you take nothing else away from this lecture, remember 20%. Two important things to remember about 20%. First of all, if you are striving to have 100% of your week and your existence happy, you're setting yourself up for failure. The data says you need 20% of your time devoted to what you truly love and you will be happy. I would ask you to aim for more than 1 day a week in your practice to be truly happy at what you're doing, but that's the bottom level. Don't set yourself up for failure. And the second part of this is only about 20% of what we can control in medicine is under our own kind of power, right? 80% is external forces, healthcare, billing, insurance, whatever it may be. So don't waste your time on the 80% that you can't control. Focus within on the 20 you can. If you want to work on the 80%, climb the leadership ranks, give talks on wellness, kind of go into other areas, but focus on the 20% that you have under your control and you'll be a lot more successful and happy. And to focus on that 20%, you want to identify your purpose. So I coach a lot of surgeons around the country now in a variety of specialties, and the first thing we work on is what brings you fulfillment, and there's lots of ways to do this. You can focus on values or heroes. One of the ones I like to show is how to be remembered. In the Tao, it says, "He who dies and does not perish has longevity." I'm going to give you 2 quick examples. This is Chris Wood. Chris was a giant in the field of kidney cancer in my field. He died early. If you knew Chris at all, you knew 2 things. He was a badass surgeon, and he loved his patients and trainees. Those were his values. That's how he lived his life. This was Doug Canning, a pediatric urologist at CHOP, also taken from us too soon. He was the other kind of surgeon who his waiting room was full of parents and kids who were there for 4 to 6 hours with their Nintendos and books because they knew he was going to take forever, but when they got Doug, they got every single bit of Doug. Those were his values and how he lived his life. So once you identify your values, you can put them in your own life story. You can identify your priority. You can only have one, but you can prioritize things under that. So here's my priority. That's Sarah and my 2 girls. I hate red eyes, but I'm on a red eye tomorrow night so I can have a Sunday with them because that's my priority. Write these things down, create a mission statement, and work on them. So here's my current mission statement: to be the best father and husband I can be and to make lasting improvements to cancers. I'm working on that today with you guys, so I'd like to thank you for that opportunity. And you can do this through mindfulness. This is a great book for skeptics or people who want to learn more about the science of mindfulness. It talks about how you can actually change your biology through mindfulness practices, and you can actually change your DNA, and that's why they call it heritable, altered traits. So final words in the last 30 seconds here, last quick hits. The classic teaching in Buddhism is that there are 3 jewels. Buddha is the deep internal awareness, the mindfulness practice, meditation. There's dharma or duty, the activities you do, but the last part is the community. And by sharing this talk with you today, I hope it spawns conversations between all of you. You talk about how to be better surgeons, how to be better people, how to be better doctors. And this is not easy. Make small changes. Every day, little bit by little bit, you can become a new being. You've had lots of choices up until this point in your life, and you've got lots of choices moving forward. Be intentional and purposeful about where you're going, and it's not easy. It's not enough just to sit here and talk and listen. You actually have to practice and do these things. So I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for the opportunity again.